Okay, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of SharePoint, and I'm talking about sites. If you knew nothing about SharePoint and I mentioned the word site to you, a website is probably what would come to mind first. Now think about the time, the effort, and even the expertise needed to create a website that's both secure and customizable and maybe even allows for things like blogging and personalization. Well, it's huge. With SharePoint, thanks to built-in templates, creating such a site is really quite simple. In fact, if you can use a browser, you can create secure and useful websites in SharePoint. They're known as SharePoint sites, and you can create them in no time at all. We talked briefly about lists and libraries in a previous lesson, and SharePoint sites are basically made up of these lists and libraries. If it were not for the site templates in SharePoint, creating your sites from scratch could be a daunting task, but with SharePoint, you just need to pick the type of site you wish to create based on 4 template categories you have at your disposal. And the categories are, starting with collaboration. Now, this category is ideal for creating sites where information sharing is desired. You'll likely make use of document libraries with this type of template, and possibly use things like announcements and calendars, for example. Here's where you'll look to create blank sites, team sites, wiki sites, document workspaces, and even blogs, for example. Now, the meetings category contains templates for creating a special kind of site called a workspace. If you think about activities like meetings, for example, a meeting workspace would be an ideal site for organizing the meeting articles like agendas, lists of attendees, and objectives, for example. Another category of template is the enterprise category. Now, here's where you'll find templates for creating portal sites. Of course, you'll need MOS 2007 to have access to the enterprise templates, which you might use to aggregate content from other subsites or create gateways to other sites and content. Think about document centers, record centers, report centers, and search centers as the kinds of templates found in this category. Now, lastly, we have the publishing category of template. And if you plan to publish content like white papers, newsletters, or press releases, for example, the templates in this category are intended for just that, publishing content, news, or even content that requires an approval workflow. Now, in this chapter, we're going to examine the various categories and sites in greater detail and even create some of these sites via different means. We'll begin with some of the most popular sites in the next lesson.